All right, yo. So if you have clicked on this video, then you are going to be in for something special, but you're also going to have to hold yourself accountable to what you're about to hear. So how many of you have wanted to start something? How many of you have had an idea or had a vision or just something compelling that's been really poking at you and really causing you to ask these questions, wake you up at night, and you just know that there is something that you should be doing and something that you want to do, not something somebody's forcing you to do, but you just don't know how to get it done? Either you start and stop, you don't have the confidence to do it, or it's just something always takes you off of that task and becomes this big distraction. Well, I want to talk to you today to let you know, but to also even let myself know that the world needs your idea. The world needs you to write that book. The world needs you to start that company. The world needs you to go out there and do that lecture. The world needs you just to really begin with your idea and your vision, whether it's going back to school, whether it's starting a platform. Do you need to change that career? Creating something that does not yet exist. And, we talk about vision and we talk about having these sometimes what can seem as BHAGs, as Jim Collins talks about in his book From Good to Great, BHAGs being big, hairy, audacious goals, right? Having those goals and having those plans that end up not only scaring the people that you're telling it to, but it also scares you. We have those moments and believe that there is something that is really pushing us to necessarily move forward on it. But I want to talk to you about those things that could be necessarily hindering you from achieving it. And I also want to really pose the question of whatever that idea is, and all of us are going to be in different stages at this particular moment with whatever one of those things were that I listed before. But for those of you who have given up, the question is, have you really given yourself a fair opportunity in the first place? Did you give yourself a true opportunity to succeed before you gave up? What does that look like? And so, 'cause there is a difference between an idea having failed after you giving your best effort versus an idea never having a chance to become what it needed to be because you were either too afraid, you were undisciplined, you were inconsistent, or just uncertain to begin with. So first, you need to understand that your vision is personal, right? We all have different passions. We all have different interests. We all have different ideas that that manifest within us. And each person put on this earth was put on this earth for a reason. Now, whether if you realize your reasoning for being put here, if you bring to fruition the ideas or the purpose of what you are here for, that's a different story. But recognize that your vision came to you because you are the one that is supposed to create it, whether it's an invention, whether it's thinking outside of the box and bringing a new approach to some type of technology, or you see an issue in the world that other people may not see. You are supposed to be the person that is to create that solution to it. So sometimes we get into these positions as to where we want to communicate our visions to somebody else, and they may not understand, or they may not share the same passion, interest, or the awareness that we have. And it's not because they are aloof, or it's not because they just aren't cognizant of what the issue is. It's just that they have their own pathway, they have their own lane in which they should be focusing and utilizing their talents. And so there's an opportunity for collaboration, right? There's an opportunity for synergy, but understand that that person may not recognize what it is that you recognize, because that vision was implanted in your mind and you were given these specific talents and these abilities to solve that issue because you are uniquely you. So when you think about these things and when you make these approaches, sometimes we may want to run away from that, right? And we may try to veer off into somebody else's lane. We may try to work on goals and may try to work on objectives that weren't built for you to solve, but they were built for somebody else because you may have this particular passion. You may feel like it's not the right time to put forth these efforts. You may feel like the rest of the world does not care about this particular item or objective, or you may think that something is a lot simpler to achieve. But as you go into that lane, you still find that lack of fulfillment because that's not your lane. You still may experience this lack of consistency because that's not your lane. You may even achieve what it is and still not feel like your purpose was truly fulfilled because that's not your lane. And it won't be until you work on that very thing that you are supposed to uniquely work on that you will find this sense of satisfaction, gratitude, and this place and space in the world during your lifetime. Remember that small, short lifetime that we have, because no man knows the day nor the hour, to achieve whatever that is. So this video is for you. It is for me. It is to tell us that we have to get out there and we have to give to the world that unique thing that the world needs in order for us to leave it better than we found it. And whatever that vision is, some of them, like I said, are going to be huge. They're going to be those big, hairy, audacious goals. But some of them are going to be small, right? Some of them will make a small impact in your area. But, they always say that if you want to change the world, you have to first start by changing the world around you. And so the world around you is your family. You may have something that improves your family outcomes. You may have something that improves your friendships. You may have something that improves the neighborhood in which you live in, or the job and career at which you're at, the company at which you're at. You may have an invention that improves something small, something very nuanced, a technology that ends up improving this particular apparatus that you all have been utilizing in your particular unique career. Nonetheless, whatever that is, you have to create it. And then as you ask yourself these questions, you want to know, what are these things that make you feel energized? When you decide to wake up in the morning and you decide that you want to work on something, what is the thing that you work on that you would find yourself working on regardless if you got paid or not? What is that thing that you wake up out of the bed and you feel energized to do versus that thing that you do every day that leaves you at the end of the day feeling depleted and unfulfilled? What do people naturally come to you for? What do they ask your opinion or your insights on? And you see this happen consistently over, these are those questions that lead down a pathway of purpose. There's this quote by Les Brown, and he says that the graveyard is the richest place on earth because it is here that you will find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled, the books that were never written, the songs that were never sung, the inventions that were never shared, the cures that were never discovered. So essentially he's saying, do not allow something that was supposed to live through you end up dying within you because you didn't bring it forth to the rest of the world. So understand that no matter your vision without discipline is just imagination, right? If you have not created an atmosphere for the consistency and the discipline to pull forward your unique idea, this beautiful idea that I know exists inside of you, then it will be hard for you to maintain it and achieve it. So you have to build in these repetitions of discipline in order to bring about this vast uniqueness or to bring about this success. So in crafting your idea, you may say that I want to build a successful business, right? That's the vision. But then when you start to deal with the specifics of bringing that vision forward, you're asking those questions such as, who am I serving? Or you may be asking those questions of how much money do I need to put forward in order to bring this together? What skills do I need to cultivate, right? What areas do I need to make these improvements on? Or who are the people that I need to meet? What are the rooms that I need to be in? Where are the conferences? Where are the other groups of people that I need to put in alignment in order to bring forward this particular vision and idea? And then what does my routine look like on a daily basis in order to make sure that I'm investing in myself? I'm investing in my mindset. What books am I reading in order to get better in this particular area? What videos have I been watching? Who are other leaders in this area? How am I fanning the flames of the motivation and inspiration to continue on this pathway of consistency and discipline, so that I make sure that I'm at least doing the things that are within my control in order to chart this territory or to develop this plan of action and these objectives as I move forward and ultimately achieving this goal. There's this thing that I heard, and it said, "How do you eat a whole elephant?" And I asked this question to a lot of young people when I go and talk to them, and you'd be surprised at the answers. But the answer to that is so simple. It's so simple, but yet the way that our brains are wired when we see these vast tasks ahead of us that we don't simply understand is that you eat it one bite at a time. So now, if you want to climb Mount Everest, you're not just going to climb Mount Everest in one full leap, right? There's a preparation. There is one foot in front of the other. There are these steps. There are the foods that you're going to eat. There's all these different things that you put into alignment. So whatever your goal is, then those are the things that you have to put into alignment and prepare for in order to achieve. Patient with ourselves, but to also be intentional. On being patient, understand that whatever this plan, this idea is, we may not have all of the skill sets that we need right now to achieve it, right? Or we may not have all of the knowledge that we need to achieve it. And it's not going to be perfect once we put it out there. We have to give ourselves grace and space for failure, right? Because through failure is where we have our greatest lessons, and that's where we make our best improvements. So we have to be patient with ourselves, but we have to understand that we are going to fall short along the way. But it's all about your mindset and how you think about it. And whatever your timeline is, perhaps your timeline may be stretched out. There's this with Tesla, there's the idea of Elon and the team, the great minds behind the technology within Tesla cars that is becoming revolutionary for the rest of the car manufacturing space. But this is going to be done by June, and June comes, and of course we've pushed it all the way out to October. October comes, and perhaps we push it out a whole nother year. Or with Apple and some of the things that they're doing with the iPhone, and just you name whatever, you fit it into there. And most developers, they end up pushing back when their technology ends up being completed, and that's fine, right? That's a part of it. So you understand that you may not necessarily control when the opportunity comes, right? But recognize too that opportunity is when luck meets preparation, right? So you are working diligently on this because one day the opportunity truly will come. You may not be able to control when your business is profitable, but those are the things that you can't necessarily worry about. But what you can worry about are those things that are within our control. And I think a lot of times we get stuck because we try to control these things that are not within our control. But we don't focus on, did you write the proposal today? Did you spend 30 minutes on this particular area of your craft? Did you stop doom scrolling? Did you halt the procrastination, or did you not succumb to the procrastination? Did you indeed save money and not spend frivolous so that you can take that money and invest it in your business or your idea? There's so many different things and areas of which we control, and I don't think that we focus enough on that because we look at the failures instead of looking at these opportunities that present themselves. And even when you approach something, if you want to try to determine if something is of value to you, then you can also look at your mindset and say, do I recognize this as an opportunity or as an obligation? You see, if you see things as obligations, then you may have a little bit less motivation and energy towards working towards that particular thing. But if you see something as an opportunity, if you say, hey, what can I learn? Hey, what bridges can I build by participating in this particular event? You know, where is this collaboration, or where is this ability to advertise myself and my idea? If you look for these things as opportunities, then it'll make you even more consistent, I believe, right? Just based off of what my experience has been when I work towards certain things in achieving that. Did you practice on this particular day? Did you indeed practice on this craft that you needed to practice on? And then did you take one step closer? What actions, activities did you need to take one step closer towards achieving that? So, treat it like a gardener, right? When a gardener plants the seeds of whatever it is that gardener is going to grow, you understand that the next day it's not going to bud a plant. You're not going to see what it is that you want in its fulfilled state. It's going to take for you watering it. It's going to take to you tilling to the soil. It's going to take the time for life and evolution to occur for that plant, whatever you put in that garden to grow, especially if you have an abundant garden. Everything is going to grow at different rates, but long as you tend to it, your chances of success become that much higher. If you think about, I hear you say, my grandmother say this, that you can't stare at a pot of water that you want to boil. Staring at it is going to make it seem like it's taking a longer time for it to boil. You just have to make sure that you've done what you're supposed to do to put it in a conducive environment for the boil to begin. So be patient with the harvest, but intentional with the planting every day. Stephen Covey has this idea in his book, the very phenomenal book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that I would encourage you to read. And he says this thing of begin with the end in mind. And so taking from that is looking at whatever, and taking it, using yourself, right? Your personal abilities, your personal self, whatever your ultimate best version of yourself is. See that, and then work your way back all the way to where you are right now and answer these questions of, where does this person live? What are their daily habits? When they wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that they do? As they go throughout their day, do they exercise? What type of foods is this person eating? How do they approach their meetings? Are they scheduling meetings? What relationships do they maintain? What skills have they mastered, developed? Did they end up going to school? Did they study words daily to improve their oratorical abilities? How do they handle their money? Do they invest in their money? Do they spend it frivolously? What are they reading? What are they how they're trying to indoctrinate themselves? What materials? Just thinking about every detail for what the best version of yourself is, and that person who ultimately has achieved that goal that you want. You start with that, work that way all the way back, and then you get to your current self as you are. And I mean, at this point, be critical, right? You have to be your own coach. Recognize that other people are not going to necessarily invest and care in you as much as you need to care for yourself. So you have to be your own coach, and you have to be a critic. But remember what I said too, you have to give yourself grace. But it takes honesty. It takes honesty for you to recognize and say, when you wake up in the morning, what am I going to achieve today? And then when you come back in and you start to wind down, and before you tuck yourself in at night, you look at yourself in the mirror, you go back over your day, and you ask yourself, what did I do good? What did I do bad at? What could I have done better at? And then ask yourself, did I truly expend the energy that I needed to towards whatever goal that I wanted to. And here's the beautiful thing about that as you make this self-analysis. If you look and you say, hey, I could have gave more towards this thing, or I could have gave more effort towards that, or perhaps I could have made one more phone call to a family member, a loved one, or told my significant other, gave them more compliments, or told them something about themselves that I thought was valuable to know, then guess what? You have the opportunity to etch out an extra 5 minutes towards that task or towards whatever that thing is, and to do that. And then I guarantee you will feel even much better and more fulfilled that day because you etched out that little bit of ounce of energy that you knew you had left in you. That's where you begin to develop these habits that end up creating transformational change. That is where you begin to separate yourself from the other people that exist in the city, exist in the community among you. This is how you start to level up slowly but surely. So, be willing to do those things and go that extra step. The extra step or the extra mile doesn't have to be this vast set of activities that you do. It can be smaller things in like those moments of how I told you that you may end your day. But we have to be our own coach because we know ourselves the best. Now, regardless, if you're honest with yourself, that's a different story. But you truly know in your heart of hearts if you took advantage of an opportunity, or if you took advantage of yourself, or if you procrastinated more than you should have, if you did not give your best effort, you know that. So as you begin to be critical or that, hey, I'm not the best in this particular area and I haven't done anything in this area to make an improvement, you recognize you know that so you can begin to course correct yourself. And that's very powerful. So take this on this daily habits, and every day ask yourself these particular questions on what you can do, and get a calendar, right? Get a calendar, organize yourself. I was asking someone who's a fellow leader, and I said, how do you think that I can best prepare for this particular situation? How can I be the most successful? And they said, you live and die by your calendar. That's what I do. I live and die by my calendar. And so, that's your ability to carve out these moments and to really drill down and get specific. Hey, from 2 to 2:30, I'm going to work on this thing. From 2:30, I'm going to do this. From 3 to 3:15, I'm going to spend some time and do some meditation. I'm going to cut my phone off between these times. And this is going to be I like to call it a power hour. So for 60 minutes, I'm just diligently drilling in on this particular item, and I'm working on this, and I have a measurable goal of what I expect to see once I get done with this. And having measurable goals also helps you from this subjective idea or conceptualization that I did something or I didn't do something. When you have those specifics, that helps you so that you can properly analyze yourself, your efforts, and your works. I think that is so very important towards our success and making sure that we're having a healthy mindset, a healthy outlook on us. And then we act accordingly based off of that. So I would absolutely tell you to do those things as well. If I had to leave you with 4 things, the 4 things that I would tell you to do to start moving your vision forward. Number 1 would be defining your destination. Throughout your life, you're going to have different things that you want to achieve. You want to buy a house, you want to save $5,000, you want to be able to start your company, you want to start a nonprofit, you want to go back to school, whatever it is, right? It's all unique. I'm not here to judge whatever that thing is that you want to do. I'm here to tell you to do that thing and to tell you how to make those steps to move forward towards achieving said thing. So define your destination. Once you define your destination, then that's where we go in something called reverse engineering the goal. So that looks like what I said, beginning with the end in mind, and that is where we are working backwards. So again, we're asking, well, what should happen at this particular stage? What does this look like 120 days out? What does this look like 90 days out, 60 days out, 30 days out? Because when you define your destination, you kind of also put a little bit of a timeline in there. And you can kind of alter that timeline based off of when you're working yourself back, because you can see how you're achieving or how you're not achieving whatever it is. And so you can kind of massage that as needed to. You can ask yourself, well, what should happen in this particular month? And then what perhaps is my next move after I've achieved these particular things, as you do 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. So kind of like a flow chart. If this, then here. If that, then here. You know, if I didn't do this, then go back to step one. Really, it's creating a pathway of organization. I would also say, number three, to build a routine around the person that you're becoming. So, as I said, you build this routine, you start to create this concepts of, okay, well, I read this particular thing, or I've looked at this particular resource, I've reached out to this particular person. I mean, you know, find the people who are leaders in your particular field and reach out to them. There are people who want to help you. Let me tell you, based off again, a lot of this is based off my experience, but I've achieved a lot of success in the areas of which I wanted to do, or the things that I wanted to do. And these are just the ways that I've done it. Now, you're going to have people who, of course, are far more successful, right, than I am. And then eventually you can get to those people. But one of the things that I'm going to tell you to do is to reach out to those leaders. I'm not even necessarily talking about celebrities. Maybe if you want to act or you want to play a sport, perhaps, you know, but I'm talking about us everyday common folk, common people. There are CEOs of companies that you can reach out to. There are professors in universities that you can reach out to. There are people within your community that you can reach out to. In my experience, these strangers have been the most helpful. The strangers have been the most supportive. Not even necessarily people I know. Shout out to the people I know who do say, hey, I listened to your video. Shout out to people like who encourage me to tell me, bro, when are you going to do another video? Put yourself out there. Shout out to them. But it has been the strangers who have been the most supportive and are the most encouraging on this pathway towards charting our own self. There's this thing that I always like to say. People tell you to go out and find yourself, and I say no, go out and create yourself. You're not anywhere out there in the world. You are who you are in this seat on the other side of this camera. This is who you are. Don't go find yourself. Create yourself through actionable steps every single day. You are the author of your story, and you have the ability to create it. And you can make it as vastly beautiful as you want to, or you can make it as narrow, boring as you want to, but it all starts and ends with you. Robin Sharma, a very good book called The 5 a.m. Club. And when I talked about being intentional in every day, he has a quote and he says, small, daily, seemingly insignificant improvements, when done consistently over time, yield staggering results. That really changed the way I understood life, in the way that I understood creating and crafting something, right? Working out. Some people cannot do 10 push-ups, right? So then you start off with 5. And you go from 5, and then you may move up to 6 or 7. Or, you know, you may be stuck on that 5 or number 6. But if you do those push-ups every single day and you add 1, you will get to 10 eventually. One of the ways that I have seen this happen is in studying languages. I knew 0 Spanish beyond hola and que hora es. And I only know que hora es because I think it was in an episode of a TV show. Maybe it might have been Friends, it might have been Joey, where he was acting like speaking Spanish, but the only thing he could say was que hora es. Might be the wrong show. But nonetheless, it was the only words I knew. Didn't know anything else. And I decided, being in Florida, that I want this challenge. I want to try to learn Spanish. Worked at it. I mean, opening up books, looking at, like, let me show you. This is my French one. I mean, I love languages. So here's one of my Spanish books. Let me see. Got 2 of them. Yep. Here go. Spanish book right here. Opened up the book and just got to the first page and just looking at buenos dias, señor, de que desea. And I'm like, okay, I know good morning and mister. Okay, they say, okay, what do you want? Then you have this next one, and you have all these words and these sentences, and I'm just talking about completely overwhelmed. Because mind you, I don't know anything beyond hola, que horas, and stuck with it, have been sticking with it, and it's been a task that I've been trying to go on. But nonetheless, of course, I've learned far beyond just though that one word and that one phrase over time in studying. And so it goes back to Robert Sherman's quote, where if you just consistently keep doing something over time, you will eventually get so much better at it. And if you follow me on TikTok and you've seen the video that I did, especially doing a Spain versus Argentina game where I kind of just, spoke in Spanish a little bit longer. And so that just really stuck with me and showed me that. So just be along for the journey. The destination, you know what the destination is. The most important part of it is the journey that you are on. And then I would say number 4, the last thing is to create measurable progress. Have a place where you start at, a clear start, and every day clearly map out what your success pathway looks like. So if you are, I know people who say, I'm not good at reading. I can't read, not because they don't know how to read, they're illiterate, but because it's just not something that they can do. And I always say this thing, 10 pages a day keeps the stress away, right? So for some people that may be a lot, but your way of reading is to say, okay, today I am going to read for 30 minutes. Maybe you may put a timeline on it. Or you may say, hey, today I plan on picking up this book and I want to at least read 3 pages out of this book. And then the next thing, mind you just reading the pages, right? Then the next thing that you move on to, I was like, okay, I want to read these 3 pages, or I want to read these 5 pages, or I want to read for 30 minutes. And then I want to be able to articulate back what it is that I read to show that I have an understanding of that I'm not just reading, but that I'm also comprehending. Right? Or whatever that is. Or say that, hey, me and my family, we want to balance our budget. We want to balance our budget, right? We want to specifically know where our dollars are going on a monthly basis. And we're going to start off on our daily basis and our weekly basis. And we don't want to exceed this much money in spending. But also something that you can be comfortable with, because you have to create goals and plans that are conceivably easy for you to achieve. It's a mental process. It's called the win-win. You have to give yourself these actionable items that are easy for you to win, because it creates the snowball effect to keep you on that pathway. So now if you saying, remember we had the push-ups, and you can't do 10 push-ups, but you say, bro, by the end of the week, I want to be able to do 100 push-ups, and you can't even do 10. The chances of you being able to do 100 push-ups by the end of the week are slim to none, especially if you're saying it is that I want to be able to do 100 push-ups all at once. You didn't even break it down and say, I want to be able to do 100 push-ups over 10 sets over the course of the day, which leads me to one other thing. Your task can be broken up. When I hear going through college, right, hear this all the times, and even talking to students. Well, if I want to get good at Spanish, they say that I got to study 3 hours a day. Let's say 4 times a week. And immediately once you think about that, remember we talked about how do you eat an elephant? How do you eat an entire elephant? One bite at a time. Immediately once they hear those 3 hours, they're thinking that they have to actually sit there from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. No, 3 hours a day can look like, all right, my work day begins at 9. Perhaps I woke up at 7, and from 7 to 8, or from 7 to 7:30, I studied. So whether you pick 7 to 8 or 7 to 7:30, I studied. Then on my lunch break, I studied. So if you did 7 to 8, that's 1 hour. Lunch break, 2 hours. Then the end of the night before I went to sleep, I studied for an hour again. But you can even break it up more than that, and you can do 30 minutes here. You can do an hour there. Then you can do 30 minutes again, and 30, you can break this up. It does not have to be consistently just a straight 3 hours, because we have lives. And second of all, your attention span is not going to last that long. So we got to get out of these methods and these ways of how we think that things should be done. And we have to think about ways that we can successfully get it done. And then make sure that you are having these reviews. So if you have the budget for the month, make sure that at some point at the end of the week that you sit down, or some point throughout the week you sit down and you actually have these clear goals so that you can see what was done and what was not done, what worked, what did not work. Go back to the drawing board. So those would be the 4 things that I would tell you to do. And thinking about that, and then I want to end on this, which I think is the most important part. And as I said, as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. And one of the most important parts is to give yourself a fair opportunity to find out how far you can go and how successful you can be. Many of us have not achieved the level of success, have not went as far as we can go in our particular fields of interest because we just have not given ourselves a fair chance. We've let doubt cloud our judgment. We've let procrastination eat away at the hours of the day that we have to do something. We've let failure, or the fear of failure, begin to fog and erode the confidence that we have in doing whatever it is that we want to do. And what does a fair opportunity look like? It tells you to make the phone calls. It tells you to schedule the meeting. It tells you to write the first page of the book. It tells you to brainstorm the book. It tells you to file the LLC. Go get the bank account. Start to create the product. Do the video. Record the video. Edit the video and put the video out there. It tells you to, whatever the product that you're working on, to try to make the product and fail at making the product and then go back again and improve on the product. It tells you to spend more time studying the craft. It tells you to get out of this sense of what is called analysis paralysis and to stop waiting for the perfect time to produce something, or stop waiting for you to have this particular amount of money before you start, or to stop waiting to say, hey, once I get this degree, I will do this. No, it's you're working on it as you go, not until you grow. So let's commit here to give ourselves a fair shot to put our best towards whatever it is that we want to do, to crank out the hours and the time on doing said thing, to truly give our best. That means exhaust your energy towards whatever this particular thing is. And let's just do it for a time period. Let's commit now to either say, and I'm talking about a real time period, I'm talking about for the next month, I am going to do everything, because most of us that you're going to look at this video, you're adults. Now, you could be an adult in a younger age, 18 or whatever. You could be an adult on an older age. But most of us will be adults. And shout out to, if you're watching this and you're younger than 18, you're already ahead of the curve. So shout out to you. You will be successful if you stay consistent. So let's just say for the next month, I'm going to do everything that I know I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do the right things because we know the right things to do. We just choose not to do it. It's a decision that we make for whatever reason. Let's dispel and let's not worry about the things that we can't control. Let's focus and give our best at the things that we can control. You come back here, you meet me in a month, and in the comment section, in my email, whatever, you tell me how you feel after that month. And I'm going to guarantee you that I am going to be doing that as well, which you'll be able to see it because my stuff will be online for the most part. But let's just give it a month. Let's call our family members or do whatever. Let's fundraise. Let's plan. Let's strategize. Let's organize. And let's do that. I do have a huge announcement as far as my commitment to making this step, which I'll probably share in another video, but to get into the nitty gritty and details. But I am launching. I've already launched my business, New Entrepreneur, but it's the idea and concept of being an accountability partner. And that essentially means that If you have a plan, an idea, I'm not here to judge your plan and idea, but I'm here to say, because it's kind of hard to find this out here. I mean, I've seen it in my own experiences myself, but having somebody that is in your corner that is holding you accountable towards achieving whatever it is that you say that you want to achieve. And so, because I understand that there is a need for this, and this works for people at all different levels, from those who are trying to begin on their budding career of entrepreneurship to those who have been in successful, thriving careers of entrepreneurship or moving up in their areas, but they haven't been able to make that next leap. Remember, like I said, from Jim Collins, going from good to great. How do you get there? I want to start this company as to be being an accountability partner for that, so that I can be your champion, can be your coach, can be that person that is checking on you to really find out what it is you said you wanted to do, prioritizing those lists of things that you said you wanted to do. But then the most important thing is seeing those actionable items and steps towards doing that. So there'll be more to come on that particular idea and concept in the near future. But for now, this is just a focus on those things that I spoke about, on how we can essentially be great and how we can move and continue moving and not wait on motivation and inspiration to fall on our laps, because that's not how it happens. But to understand that it is action that will lead towards that, and it's consistency that will lead towards the ultimate success. So appreciate you for spending time on this video. I hope this video provides some type of motivation towards you. Feel free to reach out to me. Of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's work on becoming the best version of ourselves with this one life that we have to live. Peace.